So let's talk about this Rockets versus Clippers game. As we know, the Rockets and the Clippers have been two of the teams which have been the premier teams in the Western Conference. The Rockets obviously have had a great record, and honestly, it's been surprising how good of a record they've had to start this season. When we look at the Rockets, we look at a team which was extremely rough out the game. They didn't know how to play with each other. It was kind of just, a rebuilding team that brought in a bunch of old players. But now that they've really figured it out, it's become like really interesting to see this team as they're one of the teams which is competing for playoff contention right now, and they're so young. It's actually scary. As we know, throughout the summer, the Rockets brought in Dylan Brooks, they brought in Fred VanVleet, they brought in Jock Landale, they brought in Jeff Green, and really what they wanted to do was create a veteran culture around their players. They had a lot of salary cap, which they had to waste. So what they did was that they went and they were like, okay, let's get some guys around these young dudes to coach them, to be around them, and to really, be able to mentor them as like, you guys are the future of this team. So let's get you right. If you guys didn't know, Houston last year had a problem with that because they had no culture. They were terrible, right? And it really became a thing of like, yo, even though Houston is good, right? And we could see that Houston is good right now. The reason why they're good is because they have a great coach. They have a culture, they have players, they have accountability now, and really the small things in basketball, like role players, like veterans, like coaching, really showed in last year's Rockets in the way that they played. You know, this season they've been really good. They've been playing well, and yesterday they faced off against the Clippers, which got James Harden. As we know, James Harden has been an absolute cancer to every single team he's been on. He hasn't done anything well, and this is not to hate on him. I'm just saying the reality of it. I like James Harden. I think he's a good player, and I think honestly, when you look at James Harden, you look at a guy who's really been the player for his team and who's really managed, to really turn it around for some franchises and make them go into the playoffs every year, because James Harden hasn't never missed the playoffs, which is surprising. Like James Harden is a positive player for a team, but the only problem is that James Harden has brought nothing in terms of success and actual success. He's never brought any of his franchises except Houston in Eastern Conference Finals. He's never really had, the superstar impact that you would want him to have. And he's never been there consistently enough for you to be able to call him, like the engine of your offense. If it was not in Houston, when he actually did it by himself. So when you look at James Harden and you look at a guy who really puts in the effort, plays hard in the regular season, but in the playoffs can't do anything, and in the regular season honestly takes breaks sometimes, then what do you have right there? And what you have is dysfunctionality. Another thing with James Harden is his personality, which people don't like. They don't like how he, forces his way out of places, how he seems like pampered, in the way that he carries himself. And honestly, James Harden, if he doesn't make it right with the Clippers, I don't know how many more chances he'll get, to really prove himself as a star. The reason why I say this is because now that he's on the Clippers, everything is on. The pressure's on. He's starting now because Russell Westbrook has to come off the bench. And if we look at the Clippers, they are the team which should maximize James Harden. They have shooting. They have playmaking. He doesn't have to do everything. They have wings, they have centers, they have forwards, and they have players which really, make themselves real threats in certain situations. What I mean by this is that, like today, James Harden was able to get his shots off efficiently, and he didn't even shoot that much. He shot like 11 shots for the whole game, I'm pretty sure, right? And he had 24 points, 7 assists, and 9 rebounds. And the reason why I say that is because this team will maximize him. He will not take a lot of shots. He has to be efficient. And he could be one of the greatest players in the NBA as long as the team allows him to be, you know? And that's the thing with James Harden. He had a great game today. And the Clippers got their first win. And the reason why was because he was what they needed. He was efficient. He passed the ball. He played well. He didn't get, too involved with other people's possessions. And he made sure that whatever he was doing was according to the system and was ran through Paul George and Kawhi. The reason why I say this is because honestly, I want James Harden to succeed. And the reason why is because I want the Clippers to succeed. I'm not, I'm a Heat fan, but seeing the Clippers be in purgatory every year, where they have one of the greatest coaches in the league right now, where they have some of the greatest role players, where they have one of the greatest players in the league right now in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And when those two guys, when it looked like in the start of the season that they were playing great, to right now that they lost 6 straight games and had to win to the Rockets by 6 points. That's no slight to the Rockets. I'm just saying, like, they have a reputation, for being a team which is easy to beat. But, like, the fact that that's a reality, really makes it so that I think that the Clippers need to, keep playing the way that they play today. I'm scared, they're a team which, if this season doesn't work, they're rebuilding. As we know, Paul George is up for contract, Kawhi is up for contract. But honestly, if they don't get any stars, then what are they going to do with this new arena that they have? If they don't get any banners, if they don't get any championships, if they don't get anything, then what are they going to do with this new arena, with this new place? And honestly, the Clippers just need to be good. I hope that they could be one of these teams which is, which could win 50 games every year. I wish that they could be one of these teams which, even though they don't win the championship, they could still be in the conversations. But it hasn't shown to be that way for forever. And what I say about that is, so if it's not going to be that way, if you're not going to be one of these premier teams in the regular season or their playoffs, now that you have the tools to do it, then get it done. The Clippers, people want to go see their game. They are not going to be playing in Staples anymore or in Crypto. And now we see the Clippers and we're like, we need this team to be good just for the overall NBA and ownership and what these teams are doing. Because honestly, it would look very bad on the league if they build the Clippers a new arena. Well, if the owner builds the Clippers a new arena and then they're trash, the next season they're rebuilding. But yeah, honestly, that's all I wanted to say. When it comes to the Clippers, for the Rockets, I just want to say shout out to the Rockets. I don't think it's sustainable, but if they actually do make the playoffs this year, then that will be very impressive. Obviously, they're not doing anything. They're so young. They're so inexperienced. But if we're being honest, the Rockets have shown recently that they're one of the teams which can really get it done when they need to get it done and can really, put work in. They have their stars. They have LP. They have Jalen Green. They have their point guard. They have their overall players. And honestly, they played well. For this game, obviously, because I'm sorry, I went way off. Kawhi was great, 26 points. James Harden, 24. LP, Alper Sengun, 23 points, 8 boards, 4 assists. And Fred VanVleet had 19 points and 10 assists with almost a triple-double because he had 8 rebounds. But yeah, that was the game. Very interesting game. The Clippers need to get themselves right. And honestly, let's see what happens in the future with these teams. We'll also shout out to Ime Udoka because he's been really succeeding right now.